So it's about 7:30. Last night I sat down to upload my vlog so that I could turn um, the power off and then get back to checking the last couple of songs there. I'm about halfway through the project. There's 17 songs. 15 are done, I think, and I've checked 8. So one of them hasn't actually been mixed at all, and the other one I need to do some cleaning up on. But I'm gonna need. I'll probably need to wait until I get some new phones before I touch that one at all. So yeah, I mean, I sat down to finish that stuff so I can turn it off and do that. But as I was waiting for it to upload, I became sleepy and had to go to sleep. I guess it was the Christmas present. That's fine. I'll have a good week. But right now I need to get something to eat. I don't know if I'm going to have one meal or two. I'll find out in a few minutes. But I think I should be back at it, by 10 or something at the latest. So it's around 4:30. Got another about 10 to 12 hours of actually reasonable cold. It should be cleared up by the time the sun comes back up, kind of thing. But looks like we're gonna get some chilly overnights, or chilly overnight tonight. Anyways, I just finished track number 9, which was always called Nope. Considering that I finished this in early 1998, it was certainly before anybody attached any JPEGs to any Nopes. I think that I may have been reaching towards something with that. And that is precisely actually what it's about. It's just a big flat out no way, not happening. And it was in relation to the question of whether or not I was to be taking antidepressant drugs. If I was going to do drugs, I was going to smoke some pot. I wasn't going to take Prozac, and I certainly wasn't going to take Ritalin or anything like that. Although the ADD wasn't really, they wanted me on antidepressants. And if you listen to some of the music, I think that there's a certain basis to it. At the same time, I don't think that the people that were concerned understood what I was getting across at all. I think that like the whole irony part of it, and sort of the idea that maybe I was grappling with difficult questions that people grapple with at that age. None of that really got through to anybody. It was just, kid is frowning, therefore needs drugs, right? It's just, I actually look back and I'm happy that I had the presence of mind, and I'm going to say really the maturity to realize that taking drugs is, well, the taking the kinds of drugs that doctors give you is not a good way to know who you are. If you want to try to figure that out, you need to take real drugs. Anyways, so yeah, that was the name of the track. Nope, I've changed it to Just Say No to mind-altering prescription drugs. This is actually, if I'm going to pick one where I'm going to keep the vocals, that's it. Because despite it falling into a couple of slightly childish turns of phrases, it's actually like from a poetic standpoint, it's actually kind of it's I'm gonna use the word neat, because I think that describes it well, in the sense that it's a neat literary approach to the topic, and some of the terms that I use are neat. So that's that. I don't know what I'm going to do with the vocal version yet, but it'll come up eventually. As for the next track is Fuck the Dead, which was a nice fun track about necrophilia. You can understand why I took those vocals out and why they're not coming back in. Although actually, you know what, if I end up doing a more extended vocal, that those ones will come back in because um, they're less offensive and more just kind of funny. Anyways, that's what I'm getting back to after I have my between track smoke. How's the smoking thing going, by the way? Well, due to the um, well, because it's Christmas, I'm not really. I mean, now that I've got to mixing, I'm gonna work with this algorithm, but it's less with a desire to actually get to the end of it kind of thing, and more of just uh, a useful way to pattern myself over the next little bit. I will stop smoking when I'm done the record. Um, if it means another couple of packs, then so be it. When I start getting into um, the filing aspect of it, I will stop with cigarettes. Um, but right now, it's Christmas anyways, and I'm just finishing the project without really thinking about the smoking so much. That said, um, I want to give myself at least a week because final end date, or I'm going to be starting on the pills on the 1st of January. Um, Not that I'm into New Year's resolutions. It's just it's a convenient way to. If this had all happened a month earlier, it would be December 1st. It's just it happens to be on January 1st. Um, it's just a convenient way to turn over, and I want to give myself at least a week. So, 31 minus 7 is 23. So, and it is currently most of the way through the 19th. So it's only going to be a few more days at the most. It's just really just I'm thinking I'd like to get this project done by Monday night at the latest. So that's that's a good end point. What can I get done today? Realistically, I think I can probably get just about everything done today except tracks 13 and 14, and I still haven't actually even decided on track 14. Track 13 is the one that's going to take me a couple extra days, and like I say, if everything else is set up, then I'm not gonna really neuroticize about that, especially considering that it is Christmas. So it's coming soon. It's just I'm not being really strict about it at the moment. It's about 7 o'clock, and I'm closing Fuck the Dead, which is called. Yep, I still fuck the dead. It wasn't so much a pure shock value song, although it certainly played on that. It was actually meant to satirize what the mainstream perception of the spooky goth type was. I was never really the spooky goth type. Wasn't the kind of kid that wore any makeup or anything. I was actually I looked like a hardcore kid. T-shirts and jeans mostly, band shirts. But I certainly listened to a lot of spooky music, and I got. I mean, I hung out with, well, really there was one friend of mine that was maybe leaning more towards that kind of fashion-based subculture. I think I had deeper tastes, like deeper musical tastes in that vein than he did. But anyways, yeah. So and there was another kid that actually the singer in Rabbit is Wolf also. I wasn't really friends with him at the time though. Or I think we were in the same group of friends at this point, but we weren't really friends ourselves at this point. Anyways, I saw the guy all the time. I hung out with him a lot, but I don't like. We didn't really talk much for a while after that. So, the so but I mean, yeah, that was the basis of the track. It was just kind of taking this kind of perception that people would have of that subculture and exploring it to some rather absurd logical conclusions. There's a point where I decide that necrophilia is better than rape. It's see it's that point of shock that isn't shocking because you couldn't possibly take it seriously. Um, it's more just cartoonish, um, and that's how it was intended. It's very tongue in cheek. I'm really just flat out taking the piss or making fun of the people that are might suggest that, this kind of idea, like, what do you fuck the dead? Yeah, so what? Maybe I do fuck the dead, kind of thing. Kind of just a proposed response that is not meant at all in any way to be taken seriously. Um, but I mean, for obvious reasons, um, those vocals were taken out for this. Again, if I end up doing, see, I don't know how many tracks there are, and I don't really think it's worthwhile to carve out a separate release just for the remix vocal parts, because all of those vocal parts do exist on the records in their proper sequence. So, I mean, the vocal material is available. It's the question, like, do I want to remix it with the vocals in it? And most of them, I don't want to do that at all. If I end up with enough for a half-hour EP, I'm not sure what to do with that. To tack it on somewhere, or even maybe just to drop it on the comprehensive disc, the Blu-ray disc. I don't know. I'll figure that out once I see exactly how much I've got, and exactly what I want to do with what I want to do with. But yeah, that track's closed. I'm moving on to the next one. I have 2 more tracks to do, and then I'm going to get something to eat. That will be 2 meals for the day. I think that has something to do with my Christmas present, but which I have been keeping out of for the day. I want to get this mixing done before I start celebrating Christmas. So yeah, 2 more tracks, and I get to eat. There'll be, I guess, 3 more tracks that I can briefly do tonight, and I think I can get them all done tonight. And I'll probably be left with 1 or 2 tracks to do tomorrow. One of them's for sure, the other one I still haven't decided yet. See, there was a vocal version of it, and it was initially in the sequence. This is the really, I think, the only track that I took the vocals out of. And the reason is actually not because of the vocals, it's because of the samples. I had vocoded the vocals, you couldn't even really hear what I was saying. But I'll get to that when I get to that. But Schizoid is for sure, and I need to finish mixing that one. That one's not mixed. And the other one was stupid or idiotic. I think I ended up calling it idiotic on well, yeah, it was idiotic was the version without the samples that I put up, or that I had held to, and it was just the case that I happened to have that. The thing is that this is not the reason I'm kind of stepping away from this a little is because it's not going to be different than the version on the record. It's just going to be a remix of it. So what's the point? That said, now that I've split the RY30, or the, I mean, it's not just the RY30 on this other thing that I'm putting together. It's also, like it's the RY30 with synthesizer parts and, digital sequencing, and noise generation, just anything, basically anything that's not a guitar, or a bass. just electronics and noises. Um, for this track, that would amount to just taking the guitars out. So I might end up putting it onto there. And there's some of the other ones that I skipped that might make sense to put onto there as well, depending on track lengths. Um, so I'm going to be reevaluating some of that stuff like that. But right now, I mean, that's probably what makes the most sense. But I mean, I'm also going to want to listen to it and see. See, the reason why I wanted to put it in was just because I've got all the other major tracks, and that's a major track. So it would be like the one major track that didn't get included and isn't a cover. There was an REM cover that I skipped and a cover of the Phantom of the Opera that I skipped. But the rest of it, that would be what it would be for. And I might actually put those ones on the other disc too. So kind of a reevaluation of a few things regarding that. But I'll see how that works out. Right now, I got 2 tracks, Eat, and then I got 3 tracks, and then that'll be it for the night. I just stepped on this piece of plaster that fell from the ceiling. As you can see, the ceilings are plaster. This part in the ceiling here was cut and re-put back together about a year and a half ago. They wanted to send the furnace from upstairs down. It turns out that's not legal in Ontario. But anyways, I don't know how to deal with this plaster. I mean, this isn't the first time I've seen plaster fall off the ceiling, and I know why. It's the not the person directly above me. The person directly above me is fairly quiet. It's his niece who lives across, and she seems to have an issue with stomping. I think it's I haven't prodded, but I think she might be a little bit autistic. And the stomping is just. I mean, I remember my sister used to do that, but she did it when she was like 8. And like we had to really get on her, like lift your feet when you walk, kind of thing, and she grew out of it, right? But it's kind of the same thing, and like I suppose that she's not really thinking about it when she's walking. Like I don't want to make it seem like I'm like like attacking her for it or whatever. But at the same time, when you see plaster fall off the ceiling, it's reason to be concerned about how heavy those footsteps are coming down, right? I've tried bringing it up a few times, and I like it has been brought to her attention, but it's not like it's not the kind of thing that you can just tell someone who is autistic to just stop stomping. Like it's something that requires like a long period of and you'd have to assume that I mean, she's not young. I don't know how old she is, but she's probably close to my age, if not a little bit older. So I mean, like it's not like if it hasn't been addressed now, it's never gonna get addressed, kind of thing. So it's just, and I mean, or if it's even possible to address, kind of thing. It's I mean, anybody just walks the way they walk, right? I mean, whether you're autistic or not, you just walk the way you walk. But it's just like trying to get that enforcement of like don't stomp is not an easy thing to. It's not an easy behavior to change in somebody with Asperger's or whatever it is that she has. But at the same time, like so sometimes it feels like the floors are gonna cave in. And I'm not. Well, maybe I am exaggerating, but I don't think I'm exaggerating a lot. So I don't know. That's what I'm kind of. No, I don't even want to. It's. I don't know. I don't really have an answer. So it's 9:30 and Confused is closed. the new track name of the track is No Longer Confused. The initial track was actually, it was not one of the oldest tracks that I wrote. It was really the song that the second demo in early '97 was centered around. So I'd already completed, a 100-minute tape worth of stuff, and I was actually trying to kind of pivot to a different kind of sound. It's based around an organ part, which was um, entirely unique at the time, um, excluding a noise piece I'd done a little bit earlier. But it's the first song of its nature that I ever did, and it was about what's the word I'm looking for here? Well, it was about chopping off my penis in a fit of frustration. It's kind of half serious and half not. I was dealing with legitimate sort of trans issues. I was 16. I see at the time my perspective was kind of like, okay, I know that I'm a girl, but what do I do about it, kind of thing. And the kind of just the mindset of like going through a procedure to change your gender or to change your sex just struck me as insane. And in a real sense, it still kind of strikes me as insane. But I mean, just the whole idea. I was cognizant, I was aware, but I just thought it was like not something that. Yeah, actually, I did know it's something that happened, but I just didn't foresee myself ever going through that. Um, I think that reflects a level of stoicism more than anything else. Just kind of like, life is as it is. It's often not what you want, but you just kind of accept it and deal with it, right? Um, and I mean, how many people have been through that and had a stoic response? I'm sure I'm not the first one. But it didn't mean that it wasn't having feelings about certain things, and it was coming out in the song. That said, it was also taken. There was some creative license taken to make it sound. I guess I realized that the idea struck me as crazy, so I went with it and explored the topic as though it was crazy. And so there's that kind of it was an opportunity or an excuse to explore the darker sides of certain things, which I took repeatedly during this period. As far as vocal tracks go, it's actually one of the few, again, that are important. When I set this up, I did all of the ones that I knew for sure I wasn't going to put vocals in first, and then I kind of some of the ones I wasn't sure about kind of came up next, and the ones at the end are the ones that I was pretty sure I probably would. So the way it actually worked out is that the ones in the middle are the ones with the vocals. So this is the third track that actually was mixed with vocals. Doesn't look like I'm gonna end up doing anything with those except putting them on the Blu-ray disc, but that hasn't been entirely decided yet. And yeah, so I mean, I've written a bunch of things about this already. They're available, but I mean, it was an important track in that sense. If there were this, I mean, if I'm gonna do a single, I'll put it that way. If there's gonna be a single, it's gonna be this track. The only other one I might consider doing a single for is Schizoid, and the rest of them, I don't know. I think I kind of would like to have the option for Mom, but I'm kind of stepping away from it at the same time. I'll have to take a listen and see, what it sounds like strung up, and whether I think it's worthwhile or not. But I mean, this is the leading candidate for a single. If there's any singles, there will be one for this, for sure. So that's it took a little longer because there's the electronic version of it actually has some added sequencer parts. It's the first one like this. The only other one I might do something like that for is Schizoid, which is the last one, or has been put aside to the end. Um, and there was the also okay, so there was the version for just the strict instrumental version, which was the one that comes up on the record that I'm finalizing. There's the electronics version, and then there's the combination of those two, which will probably end up on In-Remixed, and then there's the combination of those two with the vocal. I decided if I was going to do a vocal, I'd do it with everything all together, kind of thing. So that took a little bit longer because there were multiple versions to check, but it's all put together now and all archived and worked out and everything the way it should be. The next track is the last one before supper, and it's the infamous Mom. I'll wait until I get back here before I talk a bit more.